Alright guys, welcome back. And once again, everything that I've done on here distribution-wise for the Big Dave Wrestling Review has been basically through Anchor. I mean, it literally walks me through everything. So, other than YouTube, I've used Anchor for pretty much all of my distribution. Alright, so Monday Night Raw, like I said, I went into tonight not expecting much, just go in as a fan and try to enjoy the nostalgia that will be Monday Night Raw tonight. Show starts off with John Cena, someone we have not seen in a while, someone that, you kind of miss. Even though I was never the big, huge Cena guy. I like the Doctor of Thugonomics, but I wasn't the big white bread John Cena guy. John Cena comes out, talks about how happy he is to be here. This is home. And, basically starts to show off with a bang. And now the Usos come out, and the Usos challenge him to a rap battle. And then out, they do their little rap battle. John Cena makes fun about when they got arrested. He turns to the Doctor of Thugonomics real quick. Out comes Rikishi. And John Cena's like, oh, here comes Rikishi. He's in there with his sons. They're about to do the dance. John Cena gets ready to leave. Rikishi says, no, you need to back that ass up, get in the ring and dance with me. So they're all lined up. The music's about to stop. They're about to do their dance. And out come the Revival with a, big heel dick move. And the Revival have Devon Dudley with them because, from what I understand, Bubba Ray did not want to come to the show tonight. They take a break. And they do a SummerSlam little preview ad, and at the very end of it, Bray Wyatt's Fiend face flashes on the screen at the end, which I thought was cool. Then you got Booker T. He comes in. He's going to be on the announce team, and you start off the Revival with Devon Dudley in their corner versus the Uso with Rikishi in their corner. I've already heard people talking about, we've seen this match so much. They've wrestled 9 times and blah, blah, blah. And yes, you're right. I mentioned in my notes, yes, I have seen this match quite a bit. But I really could watch these guys work every night just because of how good they are in the ring. Doesn't mean I want to, but if I have to at least get one decent match out of the show, I can guarantee you these guys, if given the time, will put on a good match. All right. Then something amazing happens. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have listened to my podcast, then you do not know how much I have been preaching and asking for this change. I'm telling you, Vince McMahon was the one that hacked my Facebook, and he is the one who's listening into this podcast. I can just feel it. I just know it. When's Big Dave gonna drop another review? I need that shit. They go into a commercial break, and OMG, they're doing the small picture-in-picture Raw ad. They're doing what they do on SmackDown on Raw. Thank you. Was that so hard? Was that so hard to do? And guess what? We didn't have any silly elimination matches tonight. We didn't have any 2 out of 3 falls matches tonight. We didn't have those, we had those times where we know why they're doing this, why they're taking a break here. But really, it flowed well. The night flowed well for what it was, okay? And, the way they set up the Samoa Joe Roman Reigns match, it was different. They almost had like a little mini match before the bell even starts, and they even actually had the match. They had like a little, almost like a street fight out there outside the ring, something non-sanctioned. So we go into the ad, the little picture-in-picture ad, and they're finally doing it for Raw. I believe they only did it one time, but I told you guys, I'll admit it, when they do something good, I'll tell you. They finally did something good. They finally did something that makes sense, even though it has nothing to do with storylines or logic. But it does, but in not a roundabout way. But they finally are learning how to try to piece this together a little bit better. And I saw that. I saw them. I could tell they were about to go to a commercial break because you can tell by the influx of Michael Cole's voice. They have trained your brain for years and years. Someone would get thrown outside, and they're about to go to commercial. Say, Seth Rollins, Williams going to make it. Will he make it to the counter? Seth Rollins is in full control now. And the Miz thrown to the outside. Is the Miz going to be able to outlast this? We'll know after this break. And then we'll go to commercial. He did one of those voice fluctuations where I was like, that sounds like they're about to go to commercial. Picture in picture, small advertisement brought to you by Burger King. The advertisement even had Alexa Bliss in the commercial and Ron Simmons singing Damn at the end. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, come on, guys. That right there made the whole segment right there worth it. I've never been more excited about a commercial break in my life than that moment right there, because this is what I've been saying for 3 weeks now, guys. You do it on SmackDown, why can't you do it on Raw? What is the difference? And now, not only do you get the same effect that you have when you do it on SmackDown, you get two of your superstars on a commercial. You get Alexa Bliss and Ron Simmons in a Burger King commercial, promoting something, getting them a little bit extra money. So yeah, man, I mean, good. Finally had something go right. It finally, something that I have been implementing that they should I've been saying they should implement in the product. They finally did it. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. Now, they may have only done it, that one time. I don't remember seeing it again, but they did it one time. They pulled it off right. Good deal. All right, so we come back from the Burger King commercial. We got, basically, this match breaks down. Rikishi and Devon are on the outside. They have words, and it sets it up to where, the Revival are talking to Rikishi, telling him back up, turns around, super kick, splash. The Usos win. So, the Usos victory, but no dance at the end. We go backstage to Caitlyn, Alicia Fox, Dana Brooke, and Tori Wilson. And they're talking about Alicia Fox's hat, who I'm assuming is brought back as a reunion. So, she's still on the roster. She's been there a long time. And there's a reason she's there, because it's never been because of her wrestling. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I'm not insinuating that she's having sex with people. I'm just saying there's a reason she's there, and it ain't because of her wrestling. And I'm not trying to say it has anything to do with a sexual, I'm not saying she's a slut. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying there's something else that's got to be going on there. So, they're in there, they're talking about a hat. Then here comes Santino Marella. Drew McIntyre walks up to them, shakes his head and says, legends. Kind of blowing them off. This is what you call legends? Go to a commercial, they come back, they talk about the R-Truth Comic-Con deal and Hurricane, and then Drake gets a roll-up, he kicks out. Hurricane gets a roll-up, he kicks out. Whatever. Just don't care why you would show me this. If I'm a fan of this, if I'm a diehard fan of this product, I've probably seen this already. But I guess there's a lot of people that don't even know what it is. I don't know what it had to do. I don't know what it added to the 24/7 storyline at all. But, it was a quick little segment, so I'm not complaining too bad. After that, you seen the Godfather backstage, and I realized how much I missed the Godfather. I miss him. I miss the Godfather. I wish he'd come back. I know he can't wrestle, but I just love that character, the Godfather. Roll up a fatty for this pimp daddy, the Godfather, classic. So that I popped for that. McIntyre enters the ring, and then here comes Cedric Alexander, and there's still zero pop for Cedric Alexander. McIntyre jumps in before the bell rings. I'm watching this match, and I'm seeing all the closed fists, and I'm thinking, man, I wish the closed fist was still illegal. There's a random statement. Drew McIntyre does his reverse Alabama slam onto the corner of the apron, where he kind of slingshots his face into the corner of the apron. Then there's another Viking Raiders backstage spot that they've been doing before the break, where they kind of show them in this area backstage, and it's red, and there's fog, and they're looking all mean, and you know they're about to wrestle soon. Now, this match, after that, they go to a backstage spot after, when they come back, and you see Drake Maverick running around in the locker room with the belt. And there's nobody else around. And at that moment, it triggered in my head, they're going to have a legend win the 24/7 title. And then right after that, it triggered in my head, they're going to have a bunch of them win the title tonight. And I already knew where they were going with this. But Boogeyman comes out, does his spiel. Once the Boogeyman comes out, he basically, Drake falls down and grabs his back like, oh, that really hurt. And Pat Patterson pins him, 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure he had his foot on him, and all he had was just his foot on his chest. Drake Maverick's completely conscious at this time. He's just, his back's out or something, I guess. So Pat Patterson is now a 24/7 title and wins it. Pretty cool, little pop for everybody. Everybody likes seeing Pat Patterson, Gerald Bristow, the little goons, the yes men for Vince McMahon years ago. No Vince McMahon on this show, which I thought was odd. So Christian comes out, and he joins the commentary team. Lillian Garcia is the ring announcer. It's the Viking Raiders against Hawkins and Zack Ryder. And they're introduced as the former tag team champions, Lillian Garcia. No one has ever, I've never heard that before. Just like the match with Mike Kanellis says, your winner in under a minute. I've never heard the ring announcer say that before. I've never heard the ring announcer announce a team coming to the ring. They were former tag team champions. I just haven't heard. There's that cricket again. I just never have heard that. So, Hawkins made them look good. That's the difference between putting skilled professionals that do this every day and giving them an opportunity, other than some random local guy who's the hot thing on the indie scene right now in their little home dunk town that they're in. They're not trained enough to sell as well. I mean, Hawkins made that Viking experience look amazing. He got a lot of lift. He actually spread his arms wide at the top of his, trajectory of him falling. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like he just spread wide, and it was just perfectly executed. So that looked great. Then we have Eve, I think, backstage. Eve Torres, Eric Bischoff. What else we have down there? We had Ron Simmons. Mike Kanellis, I think, was in there. And she, who was it, Marie, giving him hell. Whatever. Ron Simmons grabs a megaphone, does the damn in the megaphone, which is kind of funny. Then we go backstage to the club, and they've got brand new shirts, brand new logo, OC. So they're going to be, on the RDC, they're trying to sell them because all three of them are wearing the same shirt. They said they're going to make a statement tonight. Then it shows Gerald Briscoe with the belt. Evidently, he has pinned Pat Patterson while we were interviewing AJ Styles in the club. Kelly then enters, and she somehow pins Gerald Briscoe. And then in comes Samoa Joe. And I'm thinking, all right, what's Samoa Joe got to say tonight? He says shows like tonight are a plague to the WWE because of our addiction to, or a ridiculous addiction to nostalgia. And he's putting down the Usos and putting down Rikishi. Said, you come in here, you want to do your little dances. Here comes Roman Reigns. Of course, he has to stand up for the legends. How else is he going to get over? Michael Cole mentions, he's a bloodline, talking about Rikishi and the Usos. They're all related. Roman Reigns comes out. He does his pose on the apron. He goes to one corner of the ring. He does his pose there. He goes to another corner of the ring. Totally turns his back on Samoa Joe. Why doesn't he attack him while he's doing that? You turn your back to Samoa Joe, you pay for it. It's been proven time and time again, but not when it's Roman Reigns now. So, they have a little squabble, go back and forth. They actually, they wrestle, not don't wrestle, but they fight on the outside. Samoa Joe says he's going to leave. Roman Reigns says, sorry guys, not all Samoans are cowards. When Roman Reigns comes in, he says, what happens when you talk about my family? Samoa Joe says, oh, well, I guess I hear you out because I guess you need to do what you need to do because I've already said something about your family. And he says, well, we're from the same island, and you know what that means. I get it. They're adding a little something there, but is that a storyline that's going to continue, Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe, for SummerSlam? If so, I ain't mad at it, although it's just a throw together match, I think. Of course, Roman wins. Nothing else. What would you expect? You have a Miz TV segment because you always have to have Miz TV now on Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins is in there. He's talking about Brock Lesnar, doing his impression of Paul Heyman, saying Brock Lesnar, saying he looks like a big stone. He's trying to be funny, and it's just not really working. Seth Rollins isn't a comedy guy, It says he's a Brock wannabe. He says, I don't want to be Brock. Brock is a Seth Rollins wannabe. Paul Heyman comes out, has a promo. Seth Rollins says, if you're going to come out here every week and talk the talk, you need to walk the walk. Paul Heyman runs off. But where's Brock? Monday Night Raw reunion, is he not a part of that? Where's Vince? He's not a part of it. I'm telling you guys, Brock Lesnar is the smartest man in professional wrestling right now, next to Vince. Then, for the first time that I can remember, in a long time at least, you have Seth Rollins give him an old catchphrase of, we're going to burn it down. Get everybody to sing along. Sami Zayn interview says it's pathetic, all these legends out here coming back for one more cheer. Rey Mysterio then approaches. Kurt Angle comes out, says, when I was general manager, we settled it in the ring. And that's how you go to that. Then you have Melina, I guess, and Alundra Blaze. She comes out. She somehow gets the 24/7 title off these other girls. and says, "Don't worry, I won't be the champ for long." Jonathan Coachman comes out on commentary. We have Rey Mysterio versus Sami Zayn. Regular match, put together, throw together match just like the other two. Sami Zayn looks like he's going to actually walk out of the match altogether, but out comes RVD, Sergeant Slaughter, the Hurricane, and Kurt Angle. They send him back into the ring, and there where Rey Mysterio, of course, hits a 619 and does the RVD frog splash to win the match. Limo pulls out in the back, and it is Ric Flair, and Flair is in the limo. We also have a segment with the Street Profits. I don't know these guys' names individually. The bigger guy, he's putting eye drops in his eyes, says he was chilling with RVD. Mark Henry, Ric Flair was in there popping champagne in the bathroom. But then the Boogeyman showed up and they all got freaked out. Phone rings. He says it's the Godfather and he's got to go. Kind of a cool segment. Can't believe they actually put that part in there with RVD. So London Blaze comes out, and as she's coming out, I said, I bet she's going to throw the title in the trash. And what does she do? She grabs a trash can. But before she does, Ted DiBiase comes out and says he'll buy the title, pulls out a stack of $100 bills, and buys the title. Jerry the King Lawler comes out now to be another guest announcer, and we have AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. They have a new Tron, a new video. I mean, as a whole, with the logo, the new OC logo. DX comes out for Seth Rollins, I guess, in support of Seth Rollins. Some point in the match, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson jump in and start beating up Seth. Then in comes DX to break it up. There's a standoff with DX and the Club. The Club hold out their two sweet little click hand gestures. DX basically holds up the hand gestures and gives the cross chop, tells them to suck it. They then leave the ring. They go out. They pick up some chairs. They are surrounding Seth Rollins, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels on the aprons. All three of the Club have chairs in hand. Then you hear the Road Dogs music. And with the Road Dog, out comes X-Pac, Hall and Nash. I would have loved to, at this point, to see like Hall and Nash, because they were wearing the NWO stuff. It'd have been cool to see them maybe hit them from behind or something like that. That'd have been cool, but you know, it is what it was. Then we have Mark Henry and Mick Foley talking backstage. Before we go to the break, the $1 Million Man has the belt. He's walking into his limo. As he's walking to his limo, he shuts the door. You hear some ruckus going on inside the limo. You hear a referee say 1, 2, 3. Out of the limo comes Drake Maverick. He is, again, the 24/7 champion. So we go back to the ring, and Mick Foley is now in the ring after the break. And he's talking about, last time he was here, he was talking about the 24/7 title. Then Drake Maverick takes off running through the crowd, out to the ring, and you hear Mick Foley kind of stumble around and says, "Come to Daddy, come to Papa," or something, I guess, talking about the 24/7 title. Everybody runs past him. They run up the ramp. Mick Foley says, "Have a nice day," and he would like to get that 24/7 title sometime before the night's over. He says, "I've had a lot of great moments on Monday Night Raw. I was asked to pick out my favorite, and here it is." And it goes, of course, to the segment of him when he won the championship on Monday Night Raw. As the highlight reel is playing on the Titantron, you see it stop, it slows down, the lights go out. Same way that the Bray Wyatt return was done last week. And I don't know if it was Corey Graves, Michael Cole, or who, but as everything goes on, they're like, "Oh, what is this? It's the same thing as last week. You should know exactly what's going on, man. Like, don't be stupid. But I'm kind of like, oh shit. Like, they're going to have him put the Sister Abigail on Mick Foley in the middle of that ring. So, lights come on. Bray Wyatt appears. And then, since Mick Foley really can't take a bump, he uses the mandible claw, Mick Foley's old move when he was Mankind. It later becomes the Socko gimmick. But he puts the mandible claw on Mick Foley, puts him down, and it was cool. It wasn't not quite as cool as last week, but they're working with a guy who can't take a bump. I thought it was great. Keep this up. I want to see Bray, pushed to the limit with this character. So, we did get Bray Wyatt this week. I didn't expect that tonight. To be honest with you, I did not expect them to bring Bray Wyatt out at all. Then you have, after that, we come back from commercial. Moment of bliss. Her guest is Becky Lynch. As soon as they start talking, Natalie comes out, interrupts. Looked like Natty had a new shirt. It looked like the old Bret the Hitman Hart logo on it. Maybe it's not new. I thought it was. This leads to a pull apart with, Becky Lynch and Natalya. We'll see where the story. This was the only real storyline in the whole evening that was, other than the 24/7 title. This was the only segment that had the storyline from last week still involved with it. Everything else was just feel-good moments. Drake's making his way to the limo. As he's making his way to the limo, his wife is in there saying, come on, hurry up, hurry up. She opens the door. R-Truth gets behind him, rolls him up 1, 2, 3, then jumps in the limo. The limo pulls off with Drake Maverick's wife in the limousine still. So we'll see where that leads. Next, we have Braun Strowman come out against a local jobber. Do not know who he was. Braun Strowman dominates. He actually gets to the microphone and says, don't blink, this is not going to take very long. He wins with what looked like a high-impact chokeslam. And after that, we're going basically to the main part of the show. Ric Flair walks out looking like only he can. Strutting, styling, profiling. And as he's coming out there, then I notice all the other legends, they start to follow out, okay? Then there's a moment where all the legends are kind of line up. They're telling me there's so many of them, they're actually having to crowd up on the stage. Well, then Hogan's music hits. Now, Hogan's come out and he's cutting his promo, and Mark Henry is standing behind Hogan. Mark Henry did not clap for Hulk Hogan. Not one time. Mark Henry kept his face down or away from Hogan about 90% of the time that Hogan had the microphone. There was only one moment where I believe I actually saw Mark Henry nod his head in approval with anything that Hulk Hogan said, and that was in a moment where Hulk Hogan was talking about the fans, being the lifeblood of everything. I'm pretty sure Mark Henry has not forgiven Hulk Hogan for his comments. And my view on that is this. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone says things that they shouldn't say. Being a white kid from the South, to say that I've never used that word in a temperament of a bad manner would be a lie. I don't use the word now. But when you're young and dumb and you're raised in a certain way, in a certain aspect, that, term is used loosely. So I understand people make mistakes. On the other side of this equation, I am just a white kid from Kentucky. I don't understand what it's like to be a black man in America, much less anywhere else. And I can't put myself in his shoes. I can't put myself in Mark Henry's shoes. So it's very discerning to me when I hear people tell Mark Henry, especially when they're Caucasian, and say things like, well, Mark Henry just needs to let that shit go. Mark Henry needs to just, let that pass. That's not your place to say, because you've never walked in that man's shoes. Okay? And I heard it said, what people don't realize is Hulk Hogan was not just a hero to little white kids. He was a hero to little black kids, little white kids, Mexican kids. He was a hero to kids worldwide, of all races, all creeds. But I noticed that. And I also noticed they had Booker T behind him as well. Booker T has been a lot more lenient towards Hogan. But to let Booker T tell it, Hulk Hogan was the reason that the Harlem Heat got a push the way they did in WCW. So he's more apt, I'm sure, to forgive the man, And, Mark Henry, I don't know how much he actually was around Hulk Hogan. Booker T worked with him a little bit more. He's a bit more, worked with him in WCW more and things like that. So that was the one thing that I noticed. They had Booker T there and Mark Henry kind of behind Hulk Hogan. And Mark Henry looked just almost disgusted that he had to stand there and listen to Hulk. So I don't think Mark Henry has forgiven Hulk Hogan a bit, and I think it was very evident in his body language. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get a little bit of a lashing out for that, because I guarantee you other people saw it too. If I saw it, number one, and number two, Mark Henry really doesn't give a shit, though, I'm sure. Mark Henry's good. Mark Henry don't need the WWE anymore like that. Mark Henry's done everything he can do for the business, and he did what he was supposed to do while he was there. Granted, I'm sure there were times where he was young and hard-headed, and, didn't follow directions the way he should have, but that man's earned the right to stand there and not clap if there's something he doesn't agree with. He's earned that right, regardless of the color of his skin. As a professional wrestler, that man has earned that right in my eyes. So they go to play Hulk Hogan's music after he says his prayers and vitamins and all that. And it just seemed like the music kept lasting a little bit too long. And we're all waiting for, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Where's Austin? When's he going to come out? And I said, to myself, when he comes out, he needs to go straight to the ring. He don't need to be out there up on the ramp talking like that. He needs to come through. He needs to bust through that crowd, pushing them out of the way like, who are you? Get out of my way. Strut his ass down there the only way he can walk. Get on the turnbuckle, give the middle fingers, and go in there and cut a hell of a promo. And be Stone Cold Steve Austin that we all want to see. And that's what he did. It's exactly what he did. I don't care. I love Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is my all-time favorite professional wrestler of all time. And nobody will ever top that. I wish his career could have lasted longer, but I'm so glad that he walked away when he did and didn't continue to hurt his body, and because he can come out now at the age that he's at now and still hit the, I don't know if you watched the whole thing, he's actually running the ropes, hitting the ropes, he's jumping up on the turnbuckle. I think Steve might have had a few too many of his little IPAs or something, but he was being natural. At some point he said, I don't know how much time we got. I don't know how much time we got. They said we got about a minute and a half. You know, they told me I was a little nervous when I come out here. I'm not nervous now. They told me to come out here and be myself. He talks about the WWE. Those people are his family and how the fans are his family. You know, this is a family reunion. Um, excuse me, Stone Cold Steve Austin went out there and he never disappoints. And he didn't tonight. And they leave you with the nostalgic go home of Stone Cold being Stone Cold. Again, no Vince McMahon. Which, you know, no Shane McMahon. No Stephanie. So there's none of the authority there. They're really trying to make it look like Heyman is the main man in charge. They're doing a pretty decent job of that. No 2 out of 3 falls matches. We had the picture-in-picture ad, the little small screen with the ad. No dumb elimination matches. Nothing that made real sense in the matches that we had. You know, there weren't storylines. Nostalgia was there, but a lot of it was people just standing around and coming in and doing their little catchphrase and getting their paycheck and going home. But again, what do you expect? What do you think you're going to get? So, am I disappointed in tonight's Raw? Absolutely not. No, I'm not disappointed because, again, there was nothing that I was looking forward to being some kind of major breakout thing. You got Bray Wyatt attacking Mick Foley. Great moment. Probably the best moment next to, for me, because I'm a mark for Stone Cold Steve Austin. I always will be. Stone Cold coming out at the end, doing exactly what I wanted him to do. Exactly what I wanted Stone Cold to do tonight, he did. I didn't want him to get out there and try to promote something. I didn't want him to get out there and promote his special. I didn't want him to get out there and tune into my special because he didn't even say anything about his special. You know, I honestly really didn't even want him to get out there and start a bunch of trash talk with some younger talent. I didn't want that. I just wanted him to go out there, raise hell, and be Stone Cold, and he did. And there's reasons why we had guys like that in the Attitude Era, and why the Attitude Era was so good, and there's reasons why we don't have guys like that now, and the way the product is the way it is right now. During that time period, those professional wrestlers were allowed to push the limits, be themselves, cranked up to 10, cranked up to 11. Now there's so much more restriction on what they do. You know, this is a publicly traded company now. And, you know, you don't have those guys who can, for lack of a better word, make love to the camera the way Stone Cold Steve Austin can do that. Or The Rock could do that. The Undertaker could do that. I mean, you go back, Ric Flair, one of the best talkers in the world. Stone Cold, The Rock, those guys, they could talk. They drew an emotion out of you. Whether good or bad, it was an emotion. No Baron Corbin, speaking of drawing bad emotion. No Baron Corbin tonight. So there was a lot of guys that, were not utilized tonight, of course, but we knew what it was. Now, if you don't know why they did it, it's because of the ratings. And they knew this would bring ratings. And they probably had it set up with Stone Cold to come out and promote his new show already. So they said, hey, we'll be in Tampa, Florida. Hulk Hogan lives there. We'll just go ahead and do a reunion. So this was all for ratings. And I'm sure that it did get good ratings. It was, tonight's Raw to me was like, in soccer when they have, league matches and then they have friendly matches that don't mean anything, or when you had preseason games and things like that. This was like a preseason game. This was like a friendly exhibition of sports entertainment. That's all it was to me. Well, guys, thank you so much. We will be watching SmackDown tomorrow night, or tonight rather, when this comes out. And also make sure that you follow on Facebook David Von Lindsay, DVL Music on Instagram, Big Dave's Wrestling Review on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and the Anchor app. You can also go to YouTube and look at Big Dave's Wrestling Review, and there will be a YouTube video up very soon for that as well. Please, if you feel like donating to the cause, $1 a month, 99 cents, you can spend $1 a month for the Big Dave Club, and that helps me get a lot of this stuff that I need. And guys, thank you so much. Monday Night Raw reunion, it's a wrap, and be on the lookout for the Adventures of Big Dave. We are still contemplating what we're exactly going to do with that, but once I get that all figured out, I will let you guys know. Thank you again so much. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night or Wednesday when I have the SmackDown review up. And you guys have an excellent day. And that is all for Big Dave's Wrestling Review Monday Night Raw Reunion.